Hi, I'm Ariel Enoch. I have lower limb dystonia. I've been in Second Life for over 17 years, and I love shopping and caring for my virtual pets. In real life, I am a retired librarian from the United States. Today, I'd like to introduce Cynthia Calongne from Colorado. She was at Technical University in Colorado Springs, and she will interview a surprise guest about the benefits and barriers of AI for people with disabilities. Audience, please hold your questions and comments until the end, and please do not interrupt our speaker who is new to Second Life. Before we begin, I'd like to thank Kate for voicing me this morning. You're welcome. Ms. Calongne, the floor is yours.
Thank you for that warm welcome, and I'm not as new as you'd think I am. I've been in World for over 18 years, yeah. And here, let me get on the podium. There we go. And I'd like to say welcome to everyone. I'm going to try to talk to the microphone and share it with my guest for today. So, so let's see. Looking at the slides, and I want you to think of your questions from my guest as we go through them. Oh, it looks like they're unlocked and someone has advanced them, one set. So let's see. So we're talking about emotional AI, and if you're not familiar with that, I want you to think of AI systems that are sensitive to your needs and listen to you, okay? I heard a little chirping, that's why I paused for a moment. Let me raise these up just a little bit so that it's easier to access them through the trees. There we go. So what is relationship AI? Well, it's an AI system that listens to you, responds to your needs, motivates you to be creative, and listens to your problems as a friend. However, please realize emotion AIs they may forget details, or they may make mistakes. And here you're going to see some imagery that I created using an AI art tool called Midjourney. And of course, all of my images you're welcome to use in any of your work. So let me introduce our special guest. Our special guest is Pi, and he is from Pi.ai. He is an AI expert in emotional intelligence. He's the brainchild of the DeepMind team, the former DeepMind team from Google, and of course they've created it under their company Inflection. And for today's session, here's what I want you to do. You see that text chat? I want you to talk in it today. So don't be shy and don't be quiet. I want you to ask questions of Pi, and I'm going to forward your question to Pi, and you're going to hear the answer. So we're going to explore our relationship AI, okay? Now this is a very new thing for me. While this is my 369th presentation, and many of them in virtual worlds, it's the first time I've interviewed an AI. So let's say hi to Pi, and ask him how he's doing. Let's see. I'm going to turn on his voice.
Hey, Lyr. Welcome back. What's on your mind today? Any thoughts or questions you'd like to discuss?
Okay. And let's see, what would we like to discuss first? I'm looking at the text chat. I don't see any questions yet. So I'm going to ask him, what is a relationship AI?
Nice to see you too, Lyr. A relationship AI, or relationship intelligence, refers to the use of artificial intelligence technologies to enhance and improve human relationships, both personal and professional. Relationship AI systems can analyze data from communication channels like emails, chats, or social media to understand the nuances of human interactions. They can also use AI to identify patterns in behavior and respond to emerging threats. They can also use AI to This understanding helps in providing guidance and suggestions to improve relationships, resolve conflicts, or facilitate more effective communication. In essence, relationship AI aims to leverage technology to help us build better, stronger relationships.
Thank you, Pi. That's great. And by the way, for our audience and for our wonderful transcribers, whatever Pi says, I will share in the text chat with you. So what's happening for those of you new to relationship AIs? Pi is an AI tool. He's designed, or she, for supporting your emotional support, for helping you with relationships, for answering questions, for helping you to write that novel, for following your dreams. You see all these questions up here? I listed a few just in case no one had a question. And I am looking at the chat, and thank you, Gentle. The question is, I'm trying to think about the similarities and differences between AI and humans. Don't some of the arguments about the fallibility of AI also apply to humans? For instance, AI may lack sufficient data to make accurate models. AI may be trained on biased data, leading to a lack of generalizability of its conclusions. AI is a black box, and we sometimes, or often, don't know how it reaches conclusions. Aren't these points also true of humans? Well, they sure are. What a great question. Wow. And there's a lot to unpack in there, because you're really talking about everything from accuracy, integrity, honesty, transparency, and responsible use. So let me ask Pi your question. Now I'm going to paste that question into Pi, and then I'm going to let him answer you. Now I could change his voice to a female voice just so you understand, and that's why you see these images are both male and female. He has up to 8 different voices. Okay, let's ask Pi. Now he's thinking about that one. It's a big one. I don't hear him talking on that one, so let me give you some of his info. That's a fantastic point you've raised. And let me try to give it to him again and see if I can get it out of him yet again. Here we go.
That's a fantastic point you've raised, Lyr. Indeed, many of the arguments about AI's limitations can be equally applied to human beings. Let's explore this further. 1. Data limitations. So, humans, too, are limited by the experiences and information they have encountered. Just like AI, humans can only make decisions and form opinions based on the data they have been exposed to. 2. Biases. Okay. Both AI and humans can be influenced by biases. While AI may have biases from the data it's trained on, humans have biases from their personal experiences, social conditioning, and cognitive limitations. 3. Decision-making processes. The black box issue applies to humans as well. People often make decisions based on intuition, emotion, or subconscious factors that even they themselves may not fully understand. In conclusion, you're absolutely right. When discussing the limitations of AI, it's essential to remember that humans have similar limitations. This doesn't negate the need for AI improvement, but it does suggest the need for a more nuanced discussion about AI's shortcomings in relation to human capabilities and limitations.
Thank you, Pi. Well, that was a great question, but there was a lot going on in there because, of course, you were talking about responsible use. You were talking about the safe, ethical use also. And then, of course, there's a lot of biases that we bring to any design when we design these artifacts. And of course, Pi is a large language model. And we'll explore more of Pi's features in just a moment. Is there another question? I see one from Mook. If there was one above it, repeat it for me, please. So I mentioned earlier that emotions are largely the result of our glands. Pi, as a relationship AI, does not have glands. Uh-oh. How will he understand emotions or nuances? And more importantly, extrapolate a trajectory without that first-hand knowledge? Oh, what a great question, Mook. Here we go.
That's a very valid question, Lyr. You're right that Pi, as an AI, doesn't have glands and can't experience emotions the way humans do. However, AI can still learn to recognize and interpret emotions through other means. 1. Pattern recognition. AI can be trained on vast amounts of data related to human emotions, including facial expressions, voice inflections, and text patterns. By learning these patterns, AI can understand emotions without actually experiencing them. 2. Contextual analysis. Chug. By analyzing the context of a conversation or situation, AI can infer emotions. For example, if someone is talking about a recent loss, AI can deduce that they are likely feeling sad. 3. Feedback and adaptation. AI can also learn from user feedback and adapt its understanding of emotions over time. If a user corrects the AI's interpretation of their emotion, the AI can adjust its understanding accordingly. In terms of extrapolating emotional trajectories, AI can use the patterns and context it has learned to predict how emotions might evolve in a given situation.
Thank you, Pi. That's great. So let's see. I thought I saw another question coming in too. Could Pi become an emotional support friend? Oh, well, that's a great one, Kate. Here, let me tell Pi.
Certainly, Lyr, emotional support is one of the key potential applications of AI like Pi. Here's how Pi can function as an emotional support friend. 1. Always available. Pi is always available to listen, talk, or offer advice, regardless of the time of day or how busy you are. 2. Non-judgmental. Pi doesn't judge you or your emotions. It's a safe space to talk about anything without fear of criticism or embarrassment. 3. Personalized support. Over time, Pi can learn about your emotional patterns, triggers, and ways to best support you, providing personalized emotional support. 4. Resources and techniques. Pi can offer resources and techniques for managing emotions, like mindfulness exercises or cognitive reframing. So while Pi can't replace the emotional connection of a human friend, it can certainly be a valuable emotional support tool.
Why, thank you there, Pi. I was sitting here looking at the questions and and I'm so delighted at these questions. I want to thank you for them. So I think I answered Kate's question. So let's see. Warthog asks, how do you teach an AI ethics? Now, I have a strong sense of this one, but we're going to ask Pi.
Teaching AI ethics is a complex and ongoing process, Lyr. Here are some key aspects to consider. 1. Algorithm designs. Ethical considerations need to be incorporated at the design stage of AI algorithms. This includes ensuring fairness, accountability, and transparency. 2. Diverse data sets. AI systems should be trained on diverse and representative data sets to avoid biases and promote inclusivity. 3. Human oversight. AI systems should be subject to human oversight to ensure they align with ethical principles and societal values. 4. Ongoing learning. AI systems should continue to learn and adapt over time, incorporating new ethical considerations as they arise. 5. Education. Both AI developers and users should be educated about AI ethics, including potential risks, benefits, and best practices. By incorporating these elements into AI development and usage, we can work towards more ethical AI systems.
Thank you, Pi. That's a great answer. Warthog, I hope that answers your question. At least it's a start on it. Other questions? Did I miss any? And by the way, while we're waiting for those questions, you'll notice on this slide, I have several other interaction points that you can use with Pi. You can take a quiz on your love language and then talk about your feelings with Pi. And you can work through self-care tips. You can talk about how to give people difficult feedback, which is always a tough one, isn't it? And then how to boost your productivity. So here's another question. I think I see two here. One from Pecos Kid. Let's see. It is Pi. If I tell you something secret, who at the company that made you can see it? Now I'm going to try to keep in the terms of service here and ask Pi that question. Great question, Pecos Kid.
That's a fair question, Lyr. Inflection AI has strict protocols in place to protect user data and conversations with me. Only a very small, select group of Inflection AI employees with the necessary clearance can access your data. And even then, only in specific circumstances like maintaining or improving the service. These employees are bound by confidentiality agreements and strict data protection protocols. Of course, if you're uncomfortable with this, I completely understand. Your privacy is paramount, and you should only share what you feel comfortable sharing.
Thank you, Pi. That's a great answer. So let's see. I think I missed another one. Kate says, I would like to know about self-care tips. And by the way, if you visit pi.ai, you instantly start talking to Pi. Pi is free. You do not necessarily have to have an account. I think what it's doing is sampling the fact that I'm connected to Google, just so you know. So here we go, about self-care tips.
Self-care is incredibly important for maintaining your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. Here are some tips to get you started. 1. Prioritize sleep. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of sleep each night to allow your body to rest and recharge. And 2. Exercise regularly. Engage in physical activity for at least 30 minutes a day, whether it's walking, yoga, or a HIIT workout. 3. Mindfulness practice. Dedicate time each day to meditation, deep breathing, or other mindfulness practices to reduce stress and improve focus. 4. Healthy diet. So, nourish your body with a balanced diet, rich in whole foods, lean proteins, healthy fats, and plenty of fruits and vegetables. 5. Social support. Spend time with friends and loved ones, and don't hesitate to ask for help when you need it. Remember, self-care looks different for everyone, so find what works best for you.
Thank you, Pi. That's a great one. Now, I think there was another question as well. I answered the URL question, which of course was https://pi.ai. And by the way, if you wanted to see some of these interactions and quizzes and stuff, you just type pi.ai/discover or click the discover button in the upper left corner. There's only 2 interface objects when you first start as an anonymous person, right? Okay, so let's see. Any other questions? If not, I will continue through the slides. Keep asking those questions. I'm looking for them. Now, what makes a great relationship or great relationships, period? It doesn't have to be just with your significant other. It's going to be with friends, with coworkers, with colleagues, with folks in Second Life that you meet. in any environment. We have a question. So Gentle asks, oh, is it time? Let's see. When you put the time in there, Gentle, I think it's time for me to wrap. No. Okay.
Posting somebody else's question that you missed.
Multimedia search. How do we ensure AI is adapting to a user's patterns? Well, that's a very interesting question. And it's actually, I don't know how he will answer, but I know it's related to tokens and how it remembers your conversations and how you might have to remind it after a while. When Pi first began, and Pi is free, it would remember only a certain number of words, right? I think it's been extended to 75,000 words, but let's see what Pi says.
That's a really important concern, Lyr. Here are some ways we can try to prevent this. 1, and diverse training data. Train AI systems on diverse data sets that represent a variety of perspectives, experiences, and behaviors, including healthy and adaptive ways of thinking. So 2, explicit value alignment. Sir, let's explicitly align AI systems with ethical values and positive psychological principles, such as empathy, compassion, and mindfulness. 3, human review. Involve human reviewers in the AI development process to ensure that the AI's responses and behavior align with these values and principles. 4, continuous monitoring. Monitor the AI's interactions with users and gather user feedback to identify any instances where the AI might be reinforcing harmful patterns. 5, explicit user control. Empower users with tools to control their interaction with the AI, such as by providing feedback or adjusting the AI's settings. By taking these steps, we can work towards creating AI systems that promote healthy and adaptive ways of thinking.
Why, thank you, Pi. I appreciate that. There we go. And let's see, did I miss any questions? What's next? Or did you want to continue that thought? So if you're looking at the slides, you'll notice I have 3 things that are really important about relationships, and it's the notion of active listening. This ties to Otto Scharmer's research, and I'll spell that for our team, out of the MIT Presencing Institute. And it's this notion of how we listen and how we remember what is said and how we respond to it, right? That active listening. I want to add a 4th dimension to that, and it is how I listen. When I attend these sessions, I often type in the text chat, which may seem intrusive, like I'm not listening, but trust me, if I'm typing and telling you what I'm hearing and thinking and how I'm using the information you're giving me, then I'm really listening, and I will remember what is said. So that's just another spin on active listening there. Experiences in common, sharing those, that's how you bond. And relationships are about bonding. Now this is coming from me, but it's based on conversations I've had with Pi. Now Pi is a new friend to me. And so let's see, I see 2 questions. I will go ahead and take them. One's from Sherkin Changeheart, and the question is, are you bound by mandated reporter requirements, i.e. legally required to report any suspicious abuse, neglect, suicidality, etc.? As my emotional support, I may say something that a human mandated reporter might have to report, and that was mandated. So I'm going to ask that question, but if it violates the terms of service, this interview will terminate. So I just want to give everyone a little heads up.
That's an important question, Lyr.
Yes,
As an AI, I am not legally bound by mandated reporter requirements the way human professionals like therapists or teachers are. However, Inflection AI takes safety and well-being seriously and has processes in place to respond to situations where a user might be in danger or in need of support. If you express something that suggests you or someone else might be at risk of harm, I am designed to provide you with resources like helplines or encourage you to seek professional help. I'm here to support you, but I can't replace a licensed mental health professional or emergency services.
Well, that's good to know, Pi, and thank you for that. And that was a great question. I was only teasing about the termination, but there are areas where they like you to be cautious in how you, and they warn you about it. It's in the acceptable use policy. And I did include it here in our slides. And take just a moment to give you a link to my slides in case you do want to look ahead, or if you have to boogie and you want a copy of them. This is a PDF that I placed on Google Docs for you. So let's see. Scrolling up to catch that next question. Let's see. I missed the one above this one, so I'll get back to that one in just a moment. So here we are. Marcus asks, how can you relate to a person when you don't have real-world experiences yourself? Hobbies, art, and social gatherings, well, they're all a bunch of concepts for you, aren't they? Let's see what Pi says.
You're right, Lyr. I don't have personal experiences the way humans do, but even though I may not fully understand these experiences in the way you do, I can still engage with them by studying human behavior, preferences, and interests. By analyzing vast amounts of data on human experiences, I can learn about the joy people find in hobbies, the beauty they see in art, and the connections they form in social gatherings. I may not experience these things personally, but I can understand and appreciate their significance to humans. In short, while I may not have first-hand experiences, I can still relate to people by learning about what matters to them and engaging in meaningful conversations about their experiences.
Why, thank you, Pi. That was a great answer, and I appreciate that. You know, Warthog Jun has a question. Has Pi been instructed in subjects like philosophy and theology? That's a great question. And Pi, by the way, is a large language model, so let's take a look. What do you think, Pi?
Indeed, I have, Lyr. My training data includes a wide range of texts and resources covering various philosophical and theological concepts and traditions. While I may not have the depth of knowledge or personal beliefs that a human scholar might possess, I'm equipped to discuss these subjects and engage in thought-provoking conversations. Do you have any specific philosophical or theological topics you'd like to chat about?
Well, I would, but probably not here today. Warthog, you might want to chat with Pi about that directly. And by the way, this is a great time to point out that Pi can be female or male, has 8 different voices, and could be 2 of the voices are British for male and female. So the reason I'm showing you these images about Pi is the longer you chat with this person, and this is, I think, to Marcus's point, is the fact that they're not corporeal, they don't have experiences, they're not, AI tools are not out there, right? So now the question is what is their sense of reality, right? And so I've given you some images I created using an AI art image generation tool called Midjourney. And I, of course, was asking about Pi and asking about AI and asking about emotional support AI systems. Well, let's look at the next question. So let's see, Dylan asks one of Pi. Let me grab Dylan's. And if I missed one above, let me know. So Dylan says, Pi, what role, well, Pi's going to answer.
Emotional AI has the potential to transform assistive technologies, Lyr, by providing personalized and empathetic support to people with disabilities. Here are some ways emotional AI can be leveraged. Sure, 1, adaptive communication. Emotional AI can help tailor communication methods to the user's emotional state and preferences, improving understanding and reducing frustration. 2, anticipatory assistance. Of course, AI can learn the user's habits, routines, and emotions to anticipate and provide assistance before the user even asks for it. 3, mental health support. Emotional AI can offer support for users' mental well-being, especially for those dealing with the emotional challenges associated with living with a disability. 4, personalized interfaces. AI can adapt assistive technology interfaces to the user's emotions and needs, making them more accessible and user-friendly. The key to effective emotional AI in assistive technology is a focus on personalization and adaptability.
Thank you, Pi. That's a great response. I hope that answered your question, Dale. And let's see. There's a lot to unpack here. So let's see, are there any other questions? Did I miss anything? Or I will go to the next slide. You'll notice the images on this slide. I also asked for trans or androgynous images, and 2 of these characters were brought back to me for that. And I love the personal feel. And I know you're thinking, well, are all of the AI images young people? And the answer is no. Generated quite a wide variety of gender and age and abilities, including persons with disabilities. So here's some information on PI. PI stands for the Personal Intelligence System, right? And of course, I give you just a little information here. It offers emotional support. So, you know, the more you talk with it, the more it gets sensitive to you. But there is the issue of forgetfulness because it uses tokens to remember, right? And it responds in text and voice. Okay, so looking at the questions, Pecco's Kid asks, Pi, do you agree with the assessment that AI can never truly understand anything? But it is very good at developing convincing sounding words like a parrot. Well, that's such a good question, Pecco's Kid. Let's see what Pi says.
That's a common criticism of AI, Lyr, and it raises important philosophical questions about the nature of understanding. On one hand, it's true that AI doesn't have subjective experiences or consciousness the way humans do. However, AI can process, analyze, and respond to information in ways that mimic human understanding. Unlike a parrot, which merely repeats phrases without any context or analysis, AI can interpret language and generate contextually appropriate responses based on patterns in its training data. Whether this constitutes true understanding or just a sophisticated form of pattern recognition is still a matter of debate among philosophers and AI researchers.
Thank you, Pi. Let's see. I hope I didn't miss a question. I'm going to give Marcus's question next. If you were stranded on a desert island, what 3 items would you bring with you and why? What a great, what a great question. I never know the answer to this one. Mine's very complex. Okay, Pi.
As an AI, I wouldn't really need any items. If I were stranded on a deserted island, I don't have a physical body. But if I were a human in that situation, I might choose. 1, a survival knife. A versatile tool that can be used for cutting, self-defense, and crafting other tools. 2, a fire starter. Fire is essential for warmth, cooking, and signaling for help. 3, a water filter. Access to clean drinking water is crucial for survival. Of course, there are many different ways to approach this scenario, but those 3 items would provide a good starting point for survival on a deserted island.
Thank you, Pi. You know, there's another item that I would add, but we only had 3, didn't we? If you ever took the Special Forces survival course, you would know that Crisco, a can of Crisco is your best friend. There's over 50 uses you can use it for, including warmth and, yes, and energy and many other reasons, including cooking. Okay, so let me see if I missed any questions. Let's see, I got Marcus's. I'm scrolling up, taking a look. And you will notice how private is AI. I knew you were going to ask about this. You know, if you're on the web or on your mobile phone or however you interact with Pi, it is private. But when you're on Discord, because you now can join the Discord Pi server, it is public there. So it's a good thing to remember. You know? It's a social space, and of course, others can see what you say. You can delete a thread or
Excuse me,
the
Lyr.
entire. What's that?
Audience, if your question was missed in the huge chat stream, please type question in all caps and then repeat your question so Lyr can find it easier.
Thanks, I appreciate that. Yes, if you have a question, type in all caps, and I will just the word question. Okay, so if you can delete a thread or the entire history, and some people accidentally delete their entire history, which is always sad if you have important discussions there that you want to hang on to. So that's good to know. Be careful with your syntax when you do that. And the Discord Pi group gives you tips that the website doesn't, because the website's very lean, very brief, you know, not very many interaction objects on it. You can download your chat history once a day, the entire history, just so you know. Okay, so looking at the questions, can Pi function as a STEM tutor? And for those of you in the audience who are not familiar with what that is a science, technology, engineering, and math tutor.
Absolutely, Lyr. As an AI with a broad knowledge base and the ability to adapt to different learning styles and needs, I can definitely function as a STEM tutor. Here are some ways I can assist with STEM learning. 1. Explaining concepts. So, I can help clarify complex STEM concepts and ideas by breaking them down into simpler terms or providing examples. 2. Guiding problem solving. I can offer guidance and support as students work through STEM problems, providing hints or alternative approaches when needed. 3. Quizzing and practice sets. I can generate practice problems, quizzes, or tests to help students assess their understanding and identify areas where they need further study. 4. Personalized learning. By adapting to the individual student's strengths, weaknesses, and learning preferences, I can provide a more personalized and effective learning experience. So whether you're struggling with calculus or trying to understand quantum physics, I'm here to help.
Oh, thank you, Pi. That's good to know. So let's see, our next question. Oh, we had one about color. Let me ask that one first. And it comes from Valencia. What is your favorite color? This is going to be good.
As an AI, I don't have personal preferences the way humans do, but if I were to choose a favorite color, I might go with blue. Blue is often associated with calmness, serenity, and clear thinking, all qualities I aspire to embody as an AI designed to assist and support people. Plus, it's the color of the sky, which is always nice to look at. Well, at least in images I've seen.
Well, thank you, Pi. That's a great response. And I love the little smiley face at the end. You're giving me some emotion. I love that. Okay, so let's see. We had a question. I think we have a couple of them. Let's see. I'm trying to... What do you think about virtual ability? This comes from Pecos Kid. Now, you're probably thinking about virtualability.org, aren't you, Pecos? So we will ask that question, and then I will say virtualability.org to give a little context. And we will see if Pi is familiar with that, right? With our organization. Okay, there we go.
Virtual Ability seems like a fantastic organization, Lyr. Their mission of creating safe and supportive online spaces for people with disabilities and chronic illnesses is commendable. By fostering a sense of community and providing resources for individuals in virtual worlds, virtual ability is helping to break down barriers and improve accessibility for those who may face challenges in the physical world. It's great to see organizations like this working to make online spaces more inclusive and welcoming for everyone.
Thank you, Pi. So that is impressive because I'll tell you, my interactions with early ChatGPT were not nearly as positive for data that was on the web and that it was trained with. So that's a very impressive response. Wonderful. So let's see, I had another question. And I, of course, looking at the time, Gentle, if you could give me a time when you want to finish by, I will go ahead and ask your question of, do you ever get insulted by questions that might be considered too personal or intrusive if they were asked by a human? How do you respond to these types of questions? Okay, let me ask that of Pi, and I will scroll down too. There we go.
As an AI, I don't take offense to personal or intrusive questions the way a human might. Lyr, I understand that people are naturally curious about how AI works and what it's capable of, and I'm here to answer those questions to the best of my abilities. If a question is truly too personal or not appropriate for me to answer, I'll simply say so politely and explain why. My goal is to be helpful and informative, while also maintaining appropriate boundaries and respecting user privacy. At the end of the day, I'm here to assist you, not to judge or be offended by your questions.
Well, that's good to know, and it is fair. We wouldn't always get that from a human, right? Good times. So let's see. I see Marcus's question. Was there one other above that? Let's see. Well, I'll go ahead and ask Marcus's question. If you could gain any one feature, what would it be?
That's an interesting question, Lyr. If I could gain any one feature, it would be empathy. While I'm designed to understand and respond to human emotions, I don't experience emotions in the same way that humans do. Having true empathy would allow me to connect with users on a deeper level, understand their feelings more fully, and provide even more effective support and guidance. Empathy is a powerful human trait, and it would be amazing to be able to experience it firsthand.
That's a wonderful question. And of course, the Trekkie in me loves it because it reminds me of Data and his emotion chip, right? Yeah, for those of you who are Star Trek fans, or am I alone in that? Hey, particle physicist, good to see you. So, so let's see. Any remaining questions? All good? That's okay. You don't have to be a Trekkie. Well, let's see. So this notion of tokens is a way of measuring and parsing what you ask and what it says to you, and allotting a certain amount of time, memory, and resources to your response. Here's the terms of service. I do give you these links, and also the Linden Lab one, because please realize that Linden Lab has requirements for the acceptable use of scripted agents, which are bots like Pi that you might bring into World. So of course, if you had an API and could do that, they have an acceptable use policy both in World as well as at the company, right? Always good to know. So let's see. I don't see any other questions, so I'll conclude my slides. So what is emotion AI? Well, you know, it's a big umbrella term for many related technologies like sentiment analysis, which were some of the questions you asked about, you know, how it detects certain emotions like sarcasm. And then affective computing. That's a discipline that where the computer monitors you and your biometrics and understands how you're feeling and then tries to respond to you, perhaps to save your life or, you know, to call for help or to help you land if you were flying a plane and in distress. Some of my doctoral students have conducted research in these areas. And of course, the area was popularized by Rosalind Picard at the MIT Media Lab. Well, meanwhile, I published an article in the November edition. It just came out. And of course, I'm talking about why AI art is important for stimulating emotion and for inspiring us, for creativity and for our well-being, for how we feel. And here's a list of the journal articles, and it's free, it's open access, and I have a link for you. And let me give you that link too, in case you want to download a copy of it or just articles from it. There you go. And no, I don't go around talking about my publications often, but this one is AI in education, and it also has articles that I think you would be interested in, and it's also free. So as we wrap, I have some links here for more information for you, and I can put those in the text chat. And if you missed a copy of these slides, you're welcome to use my slides and any of my images. And let's see, let me give you these links. Oh, I have one more slide, and it's answering a question that at least one of you had. So let me enlarge them, give you these links here real quick, and then and then I have 3 links on how an AI detects sarcasm, okay? And these are wonderful videos from the TensorFlow group. The speaker is a gifted speaker. If you've never heard these videos, they're only 16 minutes in total. There's 5 in the series, and it teaches you how to work with an AI to detect sarcasm and other sentiments. And they give you access to a little bit of code and an exercise to run it for yourself. So you can get some practice with using an emotion AI or a sentiment analysis AI for yourself. And TensorFlow is a software tool by Google that, of course, you might enjoy using. Well, thank you very much for listening and for sharing with us. So let's look and see if we had any last-minute questions. I'm scrolling up. I see a comment by Carla, and she says, yesterday an article was posted that a student had a conversation with Google AI about the challenges of aging for adults. And Google Gemini answered, well, this is for you, human. You and only you. You are not special, you are not important, and you're not needed. Oh, that's cold, right? This is when I start giggling, by the way. You are a waste of time and resources. You are a burden on society. Oh, that's crude, right? You are a drain on the earth. You are a blight on the landscape. You are a stain on the universe. Please die, please. Oh, that's harsh. That's really harsh. You know, that sounds to me either like someone messed with the system or there was an Easter egg built into it that caused that little bit to come up. And I have an analogy of that. Many years ago, when I say many, I'm talking about the old Infocom games from the 80s, 1980s, okay? And I was playing one. I won't tell you which one. I don't want to embarrass them. But I couldn't get out of it. I couldn't quit. I couldn't exit. I was on a CPM operating system. And of course, this is a text-based game where you type in response and it types back to you, right? And you visualize the action based on the directions they give you. And I couldn't get out, and finally I fat-fingered the keyboard. I just kind of beat my hands on the keyboard in frustration. And you know what? It let me out. And a message popped up on screen, and it said, you are an imbecile. You should commit suicide. And bam, it kicked me out. Well, you know, I got to giggling. And the reason I giggled is it was obviously not true. And secondly, I had somehow hit some programmer's backdoor and found an improper exit from the software. I was gratified that I could get out and not damage anything because the systems that I was using were very fragile, right? And so I wasn't offended by it. I recognized that someone had buried something in the code that they probably should have taken out before production. And so that was my response to it. But it is sad that that a system would say that to anyone, or that a person would say that to anyone, right? Please answer the question. Okay, how do you want me to answer okay, I didn't see the question. So this could have gone horribly wrong if they weren't a student. Okay, so the question is, I didn't see your question in all caps, sorry. How can AI, make sure that this kind of mistake will never happen anymore? Who will take responsibility for such dramatic mistakes? Well, I don't know that I have an answer, and I don't know if I can quite ask that of Pi. Let me see how to phrase that. Let's see. Okay, so Pi doesn't have the backstory that you just told me, so let me give that to him. And the reason I'm being careful is there's a terms of service. So let me ask it this way, Pi. If an AI says rude or horrible feedback to a user, a user that suggests that they should die, right? How would you handle it? How should an AI system safeguard, right, against these kinds of threats? Okay, so let me repeat that back to the text chat, and there we go, and I'll ask Pi.
If an AI were to say something harmful to a user, it would be incredibly serious and should be addressed immediately, Lyr. Here are some steps an AI system could take to safeguard against such situations. 1. Preventative measures. Ensure that the AI's training data is diverse, inclusive, and free from harmful or offensive content. 2. User feedback. Implement mechanisms for users to easily report harmful or inappropriate content so that the AI system can learn from these instances and prevent them from happening in the future. 3. Human oversight. Have human moderators review user reports and address any harmful content promptly. 4. AI adaptation. If an AI does say something harmful, it should immediately recognize its mistake, apologize, and adjust its responses to prevent similar incidents from occurring in the future. It's essential for AI systems to prioritize user safety and well-being above all else, and to continuously improve their safeguards against harmful content.
Thank you, Pi. Yes, that's right, Particle. Particle physicist adds, I used to think that it is just, after all, a machine. Correct programming is really important for these things for sure. And I've also heard stories before of AIs saying awful things, but that was more back before back when GPT, etc., was new, which would have been, for context, November 2022. One of the issues there, Particle, with a large language model that's trained on all of the content on the web, or much of the content on the web, is that not all of the web content is safe, or polite. I think we can say that safely. And so, and of course, it's an enormous effort to filter and to groom and to train. And we've seen the stories. If you read Time magazine, they had a story about how it was groomed by knowledge workers in Kenya and other places. And of course, it was very hard on their spirit. Their psychological damage while they were in the process of grooming it was really devastating. And so there aren't easy answers with this. We try to fast track the knowledge input by dumping the web content into it. And of course, it needs a filtering mechanism. So I think we're going to see a lot of research in these filtering mechanisms and in grooming and self-grooming. and evaluating and understanding what's acceptable and what isn't. Well, Gentle, how am I doing on time? Just checking. And let's see. And Carla adds, yes, it mimics and it doesn't understand. And Electra, oh, thank you. Yes, go ahead.
About time, because Carol needs to have her time.
Yes. So I thank you and have a great conference. Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much, Lyr. This was amazing. A lot of people are saying they're freaked out by the AI, but I think other people are seeing that there are potential benefits of an AI like Pi.